So here's where I said we're going to get a little edgy.
Okay.
So I can imagine some of our listeners out there, maybe who are Jewish, are maybe a little offended at this point. They're saying, you're trying to change me. You're trying to change my belief system. You told us your story. That's okay for you. But why are you now spending time trying to change other people's opinion? And why not let them be Jewish? And how would you respond to that, Mitch?
Well, that has been raised many times. And when I told you, when you become a believer in Jesus, if you're Jewish, I think the Jewish community would just prefer that you say you're Christian and that you've given up your Jewishness and you enter that world. So there is this barrier. However, I'm Jewish. I like being Jewish. I like celebrating the holidays. I want Jewish people to know, too, point blank, that you can maintain your Jewish culture and identity and still believe in Jesus. Because what I would like my Jewish listeners and people who are watching the show to understand today is that everything Jesus did was in the confines of being Jewish. He understood that all the laws pertaining to his life was from the Old Testament. The idea of that God is going to send the Messiah is a Jewish idea. It wasn't invented by Gentiles. It's a Jewish idea that goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. So I would love for my Jewish people to know that, you know, the idea of anybody being the Messiah is very Jewish. The question is Jesus the Jewish Messiah? And I would challenge anybody to go back and read the messianic prophecies in the Old Testament that point to the Messiah and tell me that they don't all point to Jesus.
Give us an example. Give us a couple of examples of what you mean by that.
Example, the Old Testament is very specific on where the Messiah must be born, Bethlehem. It's found in the writings of Micah, but it's very, very clear that, you know, God is going to send the Messiah and he will come from Bethlehem. Well, it's well known in the New Testament that Jesus was born in Bethlehem. The idea of how he'll be born, the virgin birth, which I thought was very Christian and Gentile. I had no idea that Isaiah wrote in Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, a verse that says, "Behold, a virgin shall conceive and give birth to a son." I had no idea that that was in the Jewish scriptures. So Isaiah tells us how he will be born. Well, Rick, do you know of anybody else who claims to be born from a virgin?
No, not that I know of. Not that I know
right.
of.
Jesus was. Is that a coincidence?
Besides Jesus. Yes.
That's right. So is that a coincidence? Or when you read the New Testament, I like to think of it as a puzzle. The Old Testament is a puzzle, and there's all these different prophecies. And then when you put them all together, where he'll be born, how he'll be born, what he's going to do. He will be someone who will bring miracles. Isaiah 2 talks about a Messiah that will come and, you know, make blind people see and deaf hear. Well, we know that Jesus did that. And when you put all of the pieces of the puzzle together in the New Testament, you have one beautiful picture of Jesus. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think it's made up. It's the perfect plan of God.